Hey there! Welcome back to another episode of the Why I Love series, where I talk to you about films that I love and I explain why I love them. Uh, I wasn't really planning on doing another episode of this show, but I found out that today is the 30th anniversary of Top Gun, um, because it came out on May 16th, 1986. And since this is a film that is a huge favorite of mine, it's also a film that was a big part of my childhood. And it's a film that I've seen so many times that I can't even count. I thought it was an absolutely perfect choice for another segment or episode or installment of this Why I Love series. I did a review of this a long time ago, but that was in depth and whatever in a retrospective sort of format where I'm kind of said the same things I'm going to say here, but it got blocked by copyright holders, so because I used the music from the soundtrack in it, so I had to delete it. So now, here I am, I'm doing another Top Gun related video, and sometime I will do another actual official review of the film. This is more of just, I'm trying to make it a little bit quicker and to the point, just more of just my personal connection with the film, why I love it so much, and that's about it. But anyway, Top Gun is arguably probably definitely no, I would say it definitely was my favorite film growing up. And that's crazy. I always thought that was a bit strange. You know, my favorite film growing up, the film that I watched the most as a kid, was not like a Disney movie. It wasn't anything that was actually made for someone from my age group. It was a action drama from the 80s. It's one of those things where when I think about it, I'm like, it's definitely kind of strange, but at the same time, it's also pretty cool and it's kind of badass. And it's definitely one of the things that has helped shape who I am. And I was introduced to the film because it was one of my mom's favorite movies. She loved the film. In fact, it's one of the only movies she saw multiple times in the theater. She saw it like 2 or 3 times when it came out. And when it was in the theater at the time, she was in the Navy. So there was that sort of connection there. And also, my mom and my dad, they met while they were in the Navy. See, I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. I've never been back there since. And whenever I say that to people, they're absolutely like, "What? Really? Honolulu? You don't look Hawaiian." It's like, yeah, I know. I don't look Hawaiian. I don't sound Hawaiian, but it's true. I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, and Pink Hospital of all things. Now, but my mom and my dad met when they were in the Navy. They were both Navy corpsmen, which is, pretty much they were like nurses in a way, kind of for the Navy. That's pretty much kind of what corpsmen are. And they met, they eloped, they got married, they had me, and that's pretty much the best thing that came from that relationship was me, was this guy. Because, things didn't work out, and they divorced when I was like 5. So, but Top Gun is a film that my mom enjoyed. She had it on VHS, and I don't really remember why I decided to pop in the movie and watch it. I still don't know why I did that, but I must have really liked it because I ended up watching the movie for hours and hours on end when I was growing up. It was a film that was just I could play it on an instant loop, on a constant loop, and I'd never get tired of it. It was a film that I loved so much, folks, that my mom wrote my name on the back of the VHS because I would take the VHS with me. I would take the VHS with me to places. It's like I didn't it was almost like, how people They take their teddy bear or they take their favorite toy with them, when they go out when they're kids. Yeah, it makes them feel safe, I would take my VHS to Top Gun. I mean, we'd be going to Grandma's house, and I'd be like, I'm gonna take the VHS to Top Gun with me, cause who knows? I might get bored, and I know she has a VCR, and if I get bored and there's time, I can watch Top Gun. Even if I can't watch the whole thing. At least I can watch the opening credits. So it was crazy. Like I watched this film tons upon tons of times. And I did grow up with other movies, like The Goonies and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990 film, and Three Ninjas, and and the Monster Squad and stuff like that. But Top Gun was like the first favorite film of mine, and it's still one of my all-time favorite films. And it's a film that I've seen so many times that I honestly feel it's become a part of me. It's a movie that, yeah, it became like a lifestyle for me when I was a kid too. Like my dad, I think it was my dad, he bought a flight jacket for me. So like the little kid wearing a flight jacket. I mean, come on. I mean, and this is years after the release. This is like almost 10 years after the release or over 10 years, and here I am like wearing a flight jacket thinking I'm Tom Cruise. It's cute, but at the same time, it's definitely kind of it's definitely different. But that's who I am. I'm different. I've always been different. So that kind of it kind of sums up my childhood and me as a person. And yeah, I watched it all the time on VHS, and it wasn't just Top Gun the movie. No, it was Top Gun the soundtrack too, because that I wore out my mom's cassette. She had an audio cassette copy of the soundtrack, and I wore that out. And I think she probably had that since the film's release. I wore it out. She bought another one, and then I think I might have wore that one out too, or it was starting to get worn out. And I always remember this stocking stuffer because it's one of the best stocking stuffers I've gotten. In my stocking one Christmas morning, I found the extended soundtrack to Top Gun on CD. Yeah, it was awesome. It was like this is really cool. She also got me Ghostbusters as well on CD. Ghostbusters and Top Gun were they kind of competed with each other at times in the films that I'd watched the most when I was a kid. But Top Gun was like the first one. I remember there was absolutely no doubt. It was the first one. And then stuff like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that followed afterwards. I was a big Turtles fan as well growing up. And so, yeah, so I wore that soundtrack out, and it's my favorite soundtrack of all time. It's my favorite movie soundtrack. There's not a single song on it I don't like. I even don't mind the sappy songs. I like Take My Breath Away by Berlin. There's so many excellent songs on that soundtrack. Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins is a classic. Playing with the Boys by Kenny Loggins is a fun song. Uh, Marietta's Destination Unknown I really like. There's Miami Sound Machines, Hot Summer Nights is a fun song. Um, Larry Green's Through the Fire is badass. I really like Mighty Wings by Cheap Trick. And you even have Lover Boys, Heaven in Your Eyes. I don't mind either. It's a nice ballad. I, yeah, I've heard the soundtrack, and of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Harold Faltermeyer's fucking badass, epic Top Gun theme, which I still have my head to this day. I was just like, and whenever I hear it and Danger Zone, no matter what mood I'm in, I automatically feel better. And it's because I have so many good memories and so many good feelings associated with watching the film and listening to the soundtrack. So, yeah, why do I love Top Gun? It was a huge part of my childhood. It was like one of my biggest, most favorite films growing up. And I even, the first roller coaster I ever went on was Top Gun. because we went to my mom and my stepdad. We did a little road trip, and we drove from Oregon to Paramount's Great America, which is a theme park. I think it's in Southern California, I think. And we went there, and the first roller coaster was Top Gun, and we had to wait in line for like felt like forever. But they were blaring the Top Gun soundtrack on like loudspeakers while you're waiting, so it was awesome. It was like it made the wait worth it because I'm like, oh man, cool, all right, danger zone, yeah. And then the Top Gun theme, and yeah, it was really cool. But the roller coaster experience is bittersweet for me because I didn't really get anything to keep my glasses on my head. So this is a roller coaster that goes like 65, 70 miles an hour, I think. And it does barrel rolls. Well, as soon as it went upside down, my glasses flew off my head. And I'm like this. And literally, luckily though, I was able to catch my glasses and like hold them against my chest. I was able to do that. I was able to hold him against my chest throughout while the until the roller coaster ride was over. But all I saw was just a bunch of blurry images going by at a really, really fast speed. And that's about it. I would, and I always remember my mom when I decided to go on another roller coaster with my stepdad. She took one of my shoelaces, her shoelaces, and like tied them around my glasses. I looked like a complete and total dork. It was so bad, but it was necessary because otherwise my glasses are gonna fall off again. So next time, folks, remember, okay, if you're gonna go on a roller coaster and you wear glasses, get something to keep those glasses from falling off your face, because they're probably gonna fall off. And, unless you have super quick reflexes, I was Jack Burton over there, like, it's all the reflexes. Unless you have super quick reflexes, wave bye-bye to your glasses. And the theme park experience is going to be nearly as much fun if you can't see what the hell, can't see anything. So, yeah, so, yeah, the first roller coaster I ever went on, it's a crazy story associated with it, and it's Top Gun. Um, it was one of the first DVDs. I remember, really, really there's a 2-disc special edition was announced, and I remember that was like one of the first DVDs I think my mom and we bought. So I mean, I think we had it on regular DVD before, with no features, but then we got the 2-disc, and I have it. I just haven't got around. I just don't want to dig it out and show it to you guys right now, but I definitely do have it. I don't have the VHS I used to have. Part of me wishes I kept it, because it does have sentimental value. But I got that, I don't need it type thing, and we have it on DVD. I probably should have kept it, looking back. But I still have the soundtrack on cassette. In fact, I think I have 2 copies of it on cassette. I have 2 copies of it on Laserdisc. I have one in widescreen and one that's not in widescreen. The one in widescreen was actually a gift given to me by my cousin, who found it at a Goodwill that he was at, and he was actually calling me up saying, "Hey, I'm at a Goodwill. I got Laserdiscs. I like Top Gun. Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he got it for me. It was really nice. That was really cool, and it's a really cool looking Laserdisc as well. Um, and It's a film I wish I saw in the theater. I know they did a 3D re-release recently, like a few years ago. I just never got around to getting a ticket for it. But it's a movie that I love. I love Top Gun. I love the soundtrack. I think it's really well directed by the late great Tony Scott. Very underrated direction by Tony Scott. He sets up his shots really well in this film. There's some really gorgeous looking shots. The cinematography, especially the in-flight cinematography, is superb. It's got the best fighter jet cinematography footage you will ever see. It's got the best dogfights you'll ever see in a fighter jet movie. It's Tom Cruise is great in it. Great in it. I know Matthew Modine was the first choice, but he actually turned it down because he didn't want to do it. He decided he'd rather do Vision Quest, and the rest is history. This is the film that turned Tom Cruise into a megastar. The other films he did before were decent in terms of box office, but they weren't Top Gun. Like this movie made $350 million, in 1986. That's a lot of money. This film was like, at the number one spot for weeks when it was released in '86. So you got Kelly McGillis, who has great chemistry with Tom Cruise, and she's hot. She's smoking hot. I had a crush on her when I was a kid. I still think she's hot. Yeah, great supporting cast. Anthony Edwards as Goose. Uh, Val Kilmer as Iceman. You even have Rick Rossovich, who plays. I think it's either Slider or Hollywood. I think he plays Slider. Um, and fun names too for all the guys. Like Tim Robbins is in it for a little bit role as one of the co-pilots. His name is Merlin, I think. You got Tom Skerritt. You got James Tolkan. It's great. You got so many. It's everything you could ask for, and then some. It's a movie that guys can love and girls can love. Hey, the guys can love it for the dog fights and the action and for the jokes and for the fun stuff and for the sort of machismo that's all throughout it. I feel the need for speed. And all that kind of stuff. And the girls can love it for the romance and for seeing the guys with their shirts off, and tight jeans, playing volleyball. It's great. It's a movie for everyone. For boys, girls, kids can enjoy it too. I'm an example of that, just for the fun action, for and stuff like that, for the fighter jets and the planes and stuff like that. I mean, Top Gun, I was obsessed with fighter jets. Like I had I even had I still have this. Actually, I can show you this real quick if it's still up here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. I remember getting this, and I used to play with this all the time. This is a model of the jet from Top Gun. There's even like a Top Gun sort of thing on there. So yeah, you can't see it because it's like blurry. I can't seem to get it to go into focus here. But yeah. So you even have this model I used to play with all the time. So and I still have it. So yeah, Top Gun. I even had like this aircraft carrier set I remember that my dad got me. It had like these plastic fighter jets. So and I used to play with that all the time. So yeah, I huge fan of this movie. I think it's well paced. Yes, watching it as an adult, it's kind of just a big giant music video, but fuck it, I still love it because I love the songs. I think it's well shot, it's well edited, and it's also a little bit more than that. It's got some of the most emotionally powerful moments I've ever seen in a film. The death of Goose, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. I've seen this film more times than I can count, folks. And that scene still gets me. It still makes me cry like a baby every time. That's power. That shows you that the film is more than just some glorified, music video. It's got a little bit more to it than that. Um, and yeah, it's an iconic movie. When people think of the 80s, people think of 80s movies, Top Gun is one of the first films that comes to mind for a lot of people and for a good reason. It oozes 80s. It bleeds 80s awesomeness. It's so cool. Some people might consider it corny or cheesy, but I don't. I just think it's awesome. It's Top Gun. It's cool. I mean, Maverick's a great character. It's my favorite Tom Cruise role and my favorite Tom Cruise film. Um, yeah, it's the best film I can think of that's about fighter jets. I like Iron Eagle, but It's no Top Gun, at least to me personally. It's fine if other people like Iron Eagle more, but I definitely am a bigger fan of Top Gun. And yeah, I think it's stood up pretty well. I think it's held up pretty well. You know, I don't honestly don't feel it needs a sequel, especially after Tony Scott's unfortunate suicide and you know his passing. I think just out of respect and honor to Tony Scott, I would just not even do a Top Gun 2, but that's just me personally. But yeah, I mean, I would also stay away from the video games because for the most part they suck. The movie is great, the video games not so much. Especially not the ones on the Nintendo. I remember playing that game, man. I was so disappointed. I was so I mean, that happened a lot. I'm a huge fan of movies, and I had a Nintendo that my aunt gave me, and I'd always get the movie games, and they'd always suck. Darkman sucked. Who Framed Roger Rabbit sucked. Platoon sucked. Top Gun sucked. All of them suck. It was crazy. It was like you can't make a good game based on Top Gun. Come on, you could have just ripped off Afterburner and it would have been fine. Uh, but yeah, I don't know what else to say about Top Gun. I really don't. It's to me, it's an excellent film. I don't personally find anything wrong with it. I think it's like I said, it's an iconic movie. It's a film that a lot of people think of when they think of the 80s. I mean, you got iconic lines, you know, like the ending, you know, where Iceman is like, you can be my wingman anytime. And then you have Maverick who's like, bullshit. You could be mine. You know, it's just like, yeah, bro hug. You know, it's so 80s, but it's so awesome. And you know, the whole thing with Iceman and Maverick earlier is like, Maverick, I don't like you because you're dangerous. Yeah, that's right. I'm dangerous. There's all kinds of fun stuff. It's a fun movie. It's entertaining. It's a great mix of action, bits of drama, some humor, and and romance. It's a great blend of all those different elements, and it works really well. Um, yeah, you can't, in my opinion, you can't go wrong with this movie. You can't go wrong with Top Gun. If you're looking for some entertainment, you know, you can't go wrong with this movie. It's a perfect choice. And yeah, I don't know what else to say except I love Top Gun, and these are I've just explained to you the reasons why I love it. I know I'm not alone. It's a film that has a huge following. I definitely think it deserves it. It's an uber cool, awesome, you know, rad 80s classic that they definitely don't make films like this anymore. And, you know, that's too bad. But anyway, thank you for watching my uh, video on why I love Top Gun, and I will see you guys later. See ya.